We'll give it another minute or two. Need some lighting. Shining, how are you?
Hello, good evening.
How are you? How are you, Siobhan?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Praveen? Praveen? Shining?
Yes, yes, Ray. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Shining? You guys are like my students in the university. You sign in and walk away. These guys sign in and then they walk away. Tells you how they really feel. Like if it was face to face, they would do the same thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh boy. We're not gonna make this painful today. No long. I know I was long-winded last week, so I'm not gonna be long-winded today.
Okay.
Do you see my post about my quiz?
Yeah, we're gonna discuss that.
I felt like one of my own students. Miss, the quiz. The amount of times I've heard that it was wrong. I had the right answer. I'd be like, come on now.
Ruth is on the move again. She's always on the move. Who are we waiting for? We waiting for Jazzy B, Mr. Charles. We're waiting for Renette. We're waiting for some folks here, aren't we? I'm gonna give it one more minute, then we gotta get started. Can somebody write? Actually, I'll do it myself. Is Charles with you, Siobhan? Miss Siobhan.
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted. I know he's not, but he was out somewhere. But I talked to him recently. Oh no.
You're gonna miss these good vittles I got for him. Got some good vittles. You know what vittles are.
Good who?
Vittles. You know vittles?
Is it vegan?
Are you from the South? Are you from the South? You from the South, right?
I've heard it, but the only thing I could relate that to is chitlins, and I definitely
That's
don't do
exactly
that.
what vittles is.
Really?
Food. Well, vittles is actually just food, but it's good country food. Vittles.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like you don't eat no chitlins, bro.
Oh no, absolutely not. Heavens to Betsy, no.
You don't eat no chitlins, some hog maw. I know Charles eat hog maw.
You a lie? Don't put that on me. Nope. Nope. Not even a little bit.
You eat hog maw.
Don't do me like
You
that.
ain't never had no hog maw.
Look, my grandmother's Rise in Arkansas. They do the New Year's Eve tradition where you got to have all that extra pork and stuff, the pig feet, the neck bones on New Year's Eve with the pinto beans. Nope, I don't do none of that.
Now I'm a date myself. When there used to be cut rights on every corner, or most corners. It probably still is in states. And at the cut right, every cut right had a cigarette machine that that you pulled the handle and the cigarettes would come out the bottom. And then, and like, you know, people's grandmamas and mamas used to make them go, kids go into the cut right and get their cigarettes for them. And then every cut right had a 3 jars. One was pickles, pickled onions, and pickled pig feet in the jars. And these jars look like they've been there for the last 50 years. Like, who actually, and they were like 25 cents, like for a pickled onion or pickled pig feet.
And then they have the audacity to be picky about it. Like, don't give me that ugly foot. Give me the other one.
Yeah, give me that one. I don't want that one right there. Give me this one right here. It looked like a science experiment.
Oh no. Something out of a horror film.
Yeah, it was. My grandmother would cook chitlins every Saturday. When we went home, when we went to our house every Saturday morning, I used to live in front of her, and we'd go in, you know, go into play. And that smell of cleaning the chitlins, oh, ugh. Smells the whole house up. All right, let's get started. My first question to everyone is, how far did we get? Did we meet the mission for this week as far as the reading and completing the quizzes? Let's not all speak at once.
Not all of it, but I did get through, I think it's the first quiz and some. So yeah, but not everything, but yeah.
All right, so the quizzes, if you notice, when you complete a quiz, you can take it multiple times. So the first attempt is not the only attempt. You can complete it until you get all the answers correct. Just a little FYI. So don't stress about the quizzes. But let's talk about the quizzes. How did you feel about the quizzes? I know Ms. Siobhan wasn't necessarily enthusiastic about that experience. Well, what made you uncomfortable about the quizzes, Ms. Siobhan?
It wasn't so much of a uncomfortable. I had my notes. I took my notes, and the question that it asked, I felt very certain that I was correct. And I went back into my notes, and it was like, nope, you're wrong. And I was like, where? How, Sway? How am I wrong? But I said, okay. And then one of them, it said I was partially, I kind of like that. I kind of like how it kind of gives you partial credit if it's like partially right.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of neat. But yeah, no, one of them I was like, that's not in my notes. That's not what was written down.
What question did you have an issue with?
It was the universal intellectual standards, and it was asking if, make sure I bring it out.
Which quiz was this? Quiz 1, 2, 3?
I think it was quiz one, and it was asking about the intellectual standards, and it asks which of these is not, like basically is which one of them is not an intellectual standard.
Oh, which one did you pick? I bet you picked you probably picked the compliance one, something about compliance. Was it?
No, so it was asking the intellectual standards, and it said one of the options was generosity.
Yeah.
I picked generosity because I was like, I wrote them all down, like verbatim almost. And I was like, generosity is not there. So it has to be generosity. And it was like, nope, wrong. And it said logicalness.
Yeah.
It's like, how when logic is one of the standards?
Yeah, so the issue there was because Miss Ruth actually, I think it was Miss Ruth, or maybe it was Martha. Maybe it was Miss Martha. She actually messaged me a couple of days ago about the same question. And the reason why it's not logicalness is because that's not even really a word. It's used, but it's informally a word. You know? So in what context do you frame it when it's really not even a word? You know, it's almost like the word, what's the word that everybody says, but it's not a word?
Conversate.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, that's one, but there's another one that people, what's the word?
Irregardless.
Irregardless. There's no word, there's no such word as irregardless. That's the word that just, and I used to say it too until one day I was like, hold on a second. When I was writing one day, I was like, regardless, why do you have to say ir if it's regardless? Here, you don't need, where the heck did that come from? But logicalness, yeah, that's not even really a word that is defined. People say it. So that's why that was the answer. It's almost like a trick question.
Okay, all right.
So that was not the answer, only because logicalness is really not even a word. And the reality is generosity is a part of intellectual, is considered a part of intellectual yes, to be generosity. It's a part of, I think if you ask some people, the answer, generosity is the answer, especially if you come from, if you're generational Xer or a baby boomer, right? I think that is probably the answer, because I'm not sure how old, I think I'm the oldest person in the room right now. I might be the oldest person in the room right now. Especially because today is my birthday. How about that? Everybody saying happy birthday to me. But they see, I know I'm getting old because I forgot what I was about to say. But generosity was never really considered a part of intellectual death. And all throughout my studies. And it's normally it's now a kind of a new concept to include generosity. So when you're talking about, last week we talked about the knowledge economy, and we talked about that it was going to change the marketplace. It was going to reinvent the marketplace, and a part of the this new age of thinking is being generous to ourselves as human beings. Hence, this is where you get LGBTQ. This is where you get disability rights. This is where you get critical race theory. It's coming out of this this disposition of generosity, that we don't want to create a regime of people who are more supreme, or who more supreme than others, and who will allow others to suffer for their success. Now, it could easily be argued that you're never going to stop that, but I think what we're trying to do, I think what the literature, for lack of a better term, is trying to do is mitigate inhumanity, to bring us back. Jeremy Rifkin talks about coming back to the commons. Does anybody know what I mean by coming back to the commons? Anyone? I'll give you a hint: feudalism. Can somebody help Renette get on? Because I think Renette is struggling. Everyone got on via the link, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to help her also.
All right. She should be able to just click the link. Maybe she needs to turn her computer off and turn it on, because everyone could just click the link, right?
I told her to change the browser. Maybe it'll help.
Yeah, maybe it's the browser. But I'll give you a hint as far as the commons is concerned. Everyone's familiar with feudalism, right? Feudalism.
Yeah.
Can somebody just briefly explain feudalism? Anyone? Somebody? Everybody scream. Anybody want no history buffs here?
Something to do with the medieval Europe.
Yeah,
It's a system.
when we talk about feudalism, it's a system that thrived in the Middle
Way of-
Ages in Europe.
way
Yeah.
of living or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So give me more about that system. Anybody know?
I think so. The priest of those times, they held the higher, the
So-
higher level, and the people were,
So yeah, royalty, nobility, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
religion played the priesthood, the Catholic Church was extremely powerful during this period.
powerful. Yeah,
So, yep. So religion and nobility were kind of separate. There was power struggles because the Pope dictated a lot was dictated basically international policy in many regards. And you had nobility. This is where you had knights and dukes, but the main person in that scheme was the landowner, or what we call in America we call them landlords, right? And
Right.
basically in feudalism, someone owned some land, the landlord, and let me put it this way. In feudalism, when you study it in 5th grade world history, I think you learn in America, I think you learn about feudalism in 5th grade world history or 6th grade world history. And it seems really like a bad thing because you, as Praveen said, you had this hierarchy of people. And at the bottom, you had serfs and peasants, and these were the poor people. And it really seemed like a bad thing. But interesting enough, it was the serfs and poor people that actually brought us. Somebody, could you mute your mic, please? It was the serfs and peasants that brought us capitalism, believe it or not. Can anybody know why the serfs and peasants, how they established established the fetus, for lack of a better term, of capitalism? Think about it. You got these people at the bottom, and they lived in a landowner's land. All right. Now, to give you some background, feudalism is interesting because it sounds like the hierarchy had the power, but who's really getting the most advantage or the most benefits out of feudalism? Does anyone know?
the landlords, right?
Not necessarily, because the landlords had a responsibility. Who did they have the responsibility to?
To the king,
To the who?
to the king.
No. King was wealthy doing his thing. The nobility was wealthy. Landlord really didn't have responsibility to the king. Who's the landlord really responsible for? No one?
The knights and the.
No, not really. Yeah, because, okay, I'll give you the knights because the landlords would pay the knights. But this answers the question, actually. Why was the landlord paying the knights? What was the knight's job?
They played important roles in
What was the
taking
knight? What was the knight's job?
protection,
Protect
to
who?
give protection.
Who was he protecting?
The land and the people.
Exactly. He was protecting the peasants and the serfs, the people at the bottom. So look at it like this. In the common, this is it's a continuation of our conversation from last week. We're going back to the commons. Okay, which the commons is the community and the structure or framework in which the peasants and the serfs lived. And when we watch these movies on television in the movie theaters, it seemed like their life was horrible. And it was, don't get me wrong, it's pretty bad. I mean, you much rather would be in nobility than a serf or a peasant. But as the the expression, what's the mother of all invention? What is the mother of all invention? Help me out, guys.
Nature.
No, what's the mother of all invention?
Nature.
No, not nature.
Okay.
Necessity. So necessity is the mother of all invention. All right. So remember we talked a lot about last week about having to feed the machine. I'm connecting the conversation for last week. Remember last week we talked about having to feed the machine. So it's a learning economy. So we need people to always feed the machine. So we end the plateau of the law of diminishing returns. Okay, and we just end that. No plateau, no dip, just straight up continuous innovation because someone's always feeding the machine. Okay. Why? Because we create a mindset of people who always feel like there's a need.
Hello, Miss Ofat.
They feel like there's a need to always innovate. Okay, so look at it this way. If I'm losing some of you guys, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, who was the leading car manufacturer of the world? What city? Anybody know? Siobhan, you should know.
Detroit.
Detroit. Michigan was a booming state. Booming. Because they had all the world's car manufacturers coming right out of Detroit. GM, Pontiac. I mean, everyone's producing right out of Detroit, right out of Michigan. Not just Detroit, but all of Michigan. With Detroit being the capital of the automotive world. Booming city. Booming. People travel all over the world to go work in management, whether it be mid-management, upper management, go work in the factories. And think about all of the ancillary companies that supported the car manufacturers, that supplied the car manufacturer with the auto parts. $1 trillion business. Now, let's look at Detroit today in 2021. Is it a thriving city? No. They're fighting to come back, but it's no longer at the status it once was. Why? One could argue the law of diminishing returns. One could also argue that they got comfortable and they're sitting on their perch as being the leading car manufacturer. They got comfortable. They lost the need for necessity because they're Detroit. Automotive company, capital of the world. GM, Pontiac, Ford, Chrysler. Big boys. People went there to raise their family, give their families an environment. It was the ideal mid 20th century city to live in. And then it fell like a fat elephant that you pushed out of airplane. Why? You can argue that Detroit lost the need of necessity. And who gained that need? Anyone know? Who was thirsty? Anyone? Japan. Thirsty. Why was Japan thirsty?
To be fair, I kind of want to take a stab at this one, Ray, because this is kind of personal to me, knowing that I'm a Michigander on this one. So one of the big reasons that Japan had got up, like they were basically recovering after, the bombing, after having, the atomic bomb dropped on them. America did a lot of investment in Japan, and one of the things they got was the automotive industry. It's the reason why Korea.
Why did they get the automotive industry? What happened?
Oh, the government flat out gave it over to them. They said, look, we're going to go ahead and rebuild on the idea that we're going to get something out of it.
I would absolutely disagree with that. I think the American government, it was not in the American government's interest to have Japan become an automotive juggernaut, because you had Detroit. This was the automotive manufacturing. Remember, this is the time of the industrial economy. So it would not be in the American government's interest to take away $1 trillion industry.
But I'm tracking your point. But one of the big things that we miss is that if we're counting, and I'm saying my mother born in 55, at the crux of being General Motors, 77, 78, mid 80s, Ronald Reagan administration, the fact that you had a lot of corporations wanting to go ahead and conglomerate that money, they realized that a lot of these countries overseas were willing to take a stab at getting any grasp on Americana. It's the reason why you see a lot of the factories for your major clothing brands, Old Navy, you name a bunch of them, they're all over in China. It's the reason why they know that they could expand that way. So if we're talking about the almighty dollar as it is during this industrial revolution, we knew where the money went. The idea is how do they preserve it? And they were able to.
I think you're mixing your time periods up. So if we go a little bit forward in the 90s and we're talking about mid 80s to 90s, and we're talking about American companies jumping ship and divesting their money out of manufacturing into other countries, I agree with you. But let's go back. You were right on the right track when you talked about coming out of World War II. Remember, Japan was in a deplorable state coming out of World War II. It's an absolutely deplorable state. They were just in a bad way. But the thing with the interesting and remarkable thing about the Japanese people are that they are resilient, extremely resilient. And they decided that they were going to lift themselves up by their bootstraps. And they made some decrees. And one of the decrees that they made was that they were going to be a leading automotive manufacturer throughout the world. And they said this in the late 60s and 70s, and Detroit laughed at them. Why did Detroit laugh? Anybody know? There's one big problem with that decree. Japan doesn't have steel. Remember, they were using steel was a major material in automotive manufacturing at the time. So Detroit laughed. How can you do that? You guys don't produce steel. We're America. We produce steel. Bethlehem steel and all these other places in the East Coast. And Japan made that decree. And when America was selling these big land boats, we call them land boats, Cadillacs, and these big GMCs, what did Japan do? They started selling small cars, these little small vehicles, the Hondas and these little small vehicles. They started producing Toyotas, which over time caught on all around the world. And now today, Japan makes some of the best vehicles, value for money, that you can buy. They took the crown from the United States. Why? The United States lost, they had necessity. They needed to rise back up from World War II, from their deployable position. So there was a need. So necessity is the mother of all invention. Necessity is the mother of all invention. I'll share another quick one. You probably heard this one before. The Coke Pepsi. There was a time where Coke, around the same time of World War II, World War II made Coke an international juggernaut. And this company called Pepsi came to Coca-Cola, and begged them to buy them out. Pepsi begged Coca-Cola to buy them out because Coca-Cola was just killing it. And Coca-Cola laughed and said, "Ha, just die. Die like the cockroach you are." Right? Necessity is the mother of all invention. So Pepsi said, okay, they want to play like that. So what Pepsi did was, while Coke was, let's say Coke was selling 12 ounces or 6 ounces of Coca-Cola for 5 cents. This is hypothetical. Let's say they were selling 6 ounces of Coca-Cola for 5 cents. Pepsi would sell 12 ounces of Coca-Cola for 5 cents. And the times being what they were, and the people being what they were, said, hold on a second. You can get more Pepsi for 5 cents than you can with Coke. Now we have the Coke Pepsi wars. Coke could have just bought Pepsi out graciously, and they would have been a standalone beverage maker of the world. Now Pepsi and Coke battle year in and year out. So necessity is the mother of all invention. It's very important when we talk about philosophy. We talk about critical thinking and reasoning. Okay? So when we talk about this move from the commons, and where all of these ideas come from, and we talk about generosity, it's a concept of the commons. Because in the commons, you did not, in the commons, if your brother, if your fellow commoner was struggling, you helped them out. You collaborated. This is why in the new age in the new age commons, we have things like open source technology, things like where you can get apps for free. The idea of helping other people out. Going back last week, we talked about the zero marginal economy, where you can produce at a level where at a certain point, it costs zero to produce. So why, if it costs you zero to produce, give the customer the item for free and make money another way? This is a commoner's concept. So the concept of generosity over the last 20 years has become very important to actually innovation and intellectual death. Someone who's not generous is considered not as intellectually sound or intellectually mature. This is why Warren Buffett is giving all his money away. Bloomberg is giving all his money away. Linda, well, I guess Linda may not be giving her money away now. Bill Gates, with Linda and Bill Gates, has committed to give all their money away. This idea of generosity, all right? It speaks to the concept of the commons, because as I alluded to earlier, the commons is where we get capitalism, because these people got together because because necessity is the mother of all invention, and they were in a deplorable situation. They had to make it work, so they created a economic structure that they could thrive in. And because of that ingenuity, we get the Industrial Revolution. And after that, it was all history. It wasn't the kings, it wasn't nobility, it wasn't the priesthood that gave us the innovation. It was the common folk that brought in the Industrial Revolution, because they had to figure things out. They had to be efficient. So now we're going through a new commons, a more technological commons, where we need to produce people that had that urge, that necessity is the mother of all invention. And the necessity is here being smarter than the machine. Feed me, Seymour. Remember that from Little Shop of Horrors? Feed me. Because what happened? Who's seen the play Little Shop of Horrors or the movie? Anyone? What happened if you didn't feed Seymour? Seymour was going to eat things up, destroy things. So you had to feed Seymour, the machine, or the machine may just get us. Charles, you had your hands up. Charles, you had your hands up.
Sorry, I was trying to resize the screen. I was actually piggybacking off the fact that there's a modern example too right now. If we're talking about like the commoners coming together to make things easier, look at this thing called the Unreal Engine. And I'll post a link to it. It's basically the way that all your video games and your movies are about to get made. It was given away for free. It was developed in the late 90s, but now is the standard. It was given away for free. It was made by a bunch of common guys getting together, realizing that, hey, how do we produce content in media faster, better, and without having to build new parts? So they are the standard. And now everybody else that wants to come up with their own type of engine, because now all your Marvel movies that are CGI are produced in the Unreal Engine. You don't need big studios anymore.
Right.
They're making it easy. And so now everybody that's trying to do what they want to do, they can't say, well, we have something better than the Unreal Engine, we're going to charge. No, they're out of the game. So this is something very interesting with this idea of being out of necessity. I'm 100% enamored with it.
So, and that's why programs like the Paris College of International Education exist and other programs like it, because it's, remember from last week, the discussions, reinventing the marketplace, including the academic marketplace, dethroning Harvard, dethroning British Council, dethroning these entities that these hierarchical entities that have made us valuable, told us that our English was good or not good, told us that we were that we had value or we were worthless. We're dethroning them. So we moved away from the commons. The interesting thing is the Industrial Revolution took us away from the commons, but innovation is bringing us back to the commons. It's a full circle. So the Industrial Revolution, which is innovation, took us away from the commons. This is why we went from everyone went in a big house. So now everybody's moving to what? Tiny homes, which I can't get with, but this whole tiny homes. This is the moving, this is the returning to the commons mentality. So Siobhan, when we talk about intellectual generosity, it's extremely important as it relates to the knowledge economy. It's extremely important. And it's very important that we nurture young folk, not to have intellectual abilities as it relates to their abilities, their knowledge, and the ability to use knowledge and create and evaluate and to use higher order thinking. But it's just as important now that we have young folk who have a high emotional intelligence quotation, that they understand the importance of helping one another, the importance of collaboration. So people, I'm on the fence about, this, everyone gets a trophy. There's a value in everyone getting a trophy, but you have to do it correctly, because you do want to raise a generation and generations of young folk who redefine competitiveness. Competition is important, but it's internal competition and not competition into the aspect that we are not humane to one another. So when we talk about philosophy and educational philosophy, this is a very important concept. When we talk about economic principles and economic philosophy, it's extremely important concept. That means we have to get rid of our old ways of thinking. And unfortunately, many of us work in school districts or school systems or schools who still hold firmly tight to those old ways of thinking. This is a new day. Elon Musk announced last week that he is manufacturing 1 million droids that are going to stand about 5.5 feet 8 inches and will be able to do many of the functions as a normal human being, including go grocery shopping, deposit a check or make a withdrawal out of the ATM or bank, get your laundry, do your laundry, drive your car. This is not something he's planning on doing. This is something that he's already had in production. And we know when Elon Musk puts his mind to something, he does it. So this is not the future, guys. This is the right now. You're going to be in car 4 standing behind or in front of a droid, just like in Star Wars. And if you don't believe me, go to Piazza, Piazza, was it the Italian restaurant? Piazza, has anyone been there lately? Piazza, was it?
Yeah.
Piazza? What's going on? Yeah, have you been there lately?
No, not lately. It was like
Oh,
last year.
I was just there last week. We ordered drinks, ordered my iced tea, because you know, I love iced tea. I'm from Baltimore, I love iced tea. And a robot brought me my iced tea right here in Riyadh. Played music and everything. Brought the iced tea right to my table. A robot.
That's great.
And Piazza, Italian restaurant.
Even in Mansion, there's one robo in Mansion also. It
And
serves
give me
everything.
5 also. It's
Yes.
there also.
Okay. The sushi bar at the Zone. They bring the sushi to you. A robot's bringing the sushi to you on the little trolley.
Yes, yes.
So we are already seeing Star Wars. Okay. So this idea of intellectual death, classes like this are very important, people. All right. I didn't mean to do that, but when I get going, I get going. Any other questions about the quizzes? Make sure you run. There's no reason why we can't finish this course in 3 weeks. Just run through the course, folks. Okay.
Ray, I wanted to ask you, like, sometimes during the end of the activity, they say, please put your questions or discuss in the discussion forum. So
We are our forums. We do things a little bit different. Which, if you want to put your in the forums and go with other folks and see and try to get a discourse with other folks, that's fine. But we can operate within our own little show, our own little university here. We're our own commons. Okay. So if you have a question about something, don't hesitate to put it in the WhatsApp group. Which leads me to my next point. At the end of this course, there's a final project that you have to do. So you take the quizzes, which, let's be honest, other than not being satisfied with the answer, you can always retake the quiz as many times until you get 100. 3 times? 3 times until you get 100. My bad. 3 times until you get 100. Okay? Which should be easy because they give you the answers the first time. So the second time, you should get 100, right? So let's finish this course. Now, what I really want to focus on is the final project for this course that we need to work on. Has anyone looked at the details for the final project? All right, no one. Great,
Yeah,
outstanding.
you have to, I saw it, but you have to get the article and criticize the article and do all the critical thinking on it. I just saw it. But I failed the first one.
No.
I made a mess.
Not that as the, you should have seen, maybe, did everyone see at the end of the course, it should be, maybe it's a little bit different for everyone. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm just going off of the one I have. Your final project should either be a choice of an 8-page paper where you basically, it's a personal experience paper where you talk about the course, how the course, you can pick any subject area discussed in the course and talk about your personal professional experiences with that concept. And obviously you're going to get in detail, you're going to write a thesis statement and 8 pages long. All right. Where you talk about how that aspect of the course has applied to your professional and personal experience. All right. You can do that, or you can do a project. The project is a little bit more creative. In the project, you can do a PowerPoint presentation. You can do a video, I guess what's it called, blog. You can do like a vlog. You could do a series of why is it escaping my mind? What is the thing we used to do? Flip grids. You can do a series of flip grids, which would be like a blog. You can do pretty much anything you want to do that can be downloaded. All right, that highlights the entire course. But you have to have a specific focus. And when we talk about highlighting the entire course in a way that will be beneficial to a specific group of people. All right. Now, if you read the instructions, it says that you have to turn in your top, if you choose to do the final project versus the 8-page paper, you have to turn in your topic to be approved by the director. In this case, you turn your topics into me first, and then I will approve them or disapprove them and give you guidance. So you don't have to email, you can just submit it to me via WhatsApp is fine. I'll go over it, we go back and forth, make sure you have some focus, and then I'll approve it so you can turn it in. So I want us to start, as you read the materials, I want you to start thinking about what your final project is going to be, or you can write the 8-page personal and professional experience paper. Either one is fine. Zarin, you have a question?
Yes, I have sent my Google form to you yesterday, and I just wanted to join this. So please add me in the group or send me the details so I will be in the same page. I'm not getting what you people are talking about.
No worries. We'll add you in, Zarin. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you tomorrow. They all sleep right now because they're about 4 hours ahead of us. So did you send them a form?
No, I just sent fill your form.
Okay.
One form, Google form.
Okay. I'll fill out the other, did you get the other application?
Yeah, but Rina has sent me, yes.
Yeah, fill that one out, send that to the university, and then I will send them notification that you're a part of this group.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right, so what I need you guys to start doing, because again, those quizzes should be relatively easy. All right, read the information, do the quizzes. Let's get through this course, okay? Let's think about the final project or the writing. I will help you with the writing as far as forming a framework. I will also help you with your final project. If you're going to do the final project, you're not going to do the writing, and you're going to do a PowerPoint, or you're going to do the, this is only going to do about this. If you're going to do the final project, You got to get my approval first. So I make sure it's focused. All right, and so this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. You can take notes on this. When you do the final project, and remember the key here is it has to serve the needs of a group of people. Going back to the commons, right? It has to serve a need of a group of people. So one of the things I'm going to be looking for is what need are you serving? What people to what group? And how will it be beneficial to that group? Okay. Then I'm also looking at what argument are you making to that group? What compelling argument are you making to that group? So we're basically forming some type of researchable question. So one of the things I want you to think about as you read the rest of the course material is, are you making a deductive argument or are you making an inductive argument? Deductive and inductive. Does anyone know what I mean by deductive and inductive?
No.
All right. So let me share something with you really quickly. Is this it? Hold on a second. Let me figure out where I put it. All right. So when we talk about arguments, it really goes with reasoning, how you frame your reasoning. You can frame your reasoning deductively or inductively. Now, let's talk about deductive. Deductive, think about it like this. A statement that can be applied to all or universally, and your argument goes inward to a specific. So it's going from broad, an idea that's a broad idea, to a specific idea. That would be a deductive argument. An inductive argument would be what, Praveen?
The opposite.
The opposite. Coming from a small point of view, an individual or specific point of view, to a broader, to apply to a broader audience. So a deductive argument is a broad point of view to be applied to a specific audience. An inductive point of view is a specific argument to be applied to a broader argument. All right. So let's do a couple of these so you tell me whether these are right or wrong, and we will check our answers. Is the following argument best classified as deductive or inductive? We're going to do these all together. All fires need oxygen. There is no oxygen in the room. So there is no fire in that room. Is that a deductive argument or inductive argument?
Deductive.
Does everybody think it's deductive? Anybody think it's inductive? Does anyone care?
Don't understand.
Praveen,
It's talking about all fires. So
is deductive?
It's
I
deductive,
think so.
Siobhan,
Deductive.
Siobhan, is it deductive or inductive?
I think so. I think it's deductive.
Praveen, what do you think?
I want you to explain again,
Say again, all fires need oxygen and what else?
Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be on the screen. All fires need oxygen. There's no oxygen in that room, specific. So there's no fire in that room. Given the brief.
So it's a specific topic, right?
Deductive.
Inductive.
Inductive or deductive?
Inductive.
Deductive.
There is no oxygen in that room.
All right, so remember we said a deductive argument is when you start with a broad uh,
Statement.
understanding or broad idea or concept, and you apply it to a specific entity. Inductive is looking at things from a specific point of view and apply it to a broader entity. So I think most people said
Deductive.
Okay.
Deductive, yes.
Let's look at number 2. All elements with atomic weights greater than 64 are metals. Z is an element with an atomic weight of 75.
Deductive.
Therefore, Z is a metal.
Deductive.
Deductive, everyone agree?
Deductive.
Okay. Anyone over 21 of age can legally play the slot machines in Las Vegas. Sam is 33 years old. Sam can legally play the slot machines in Las Vegas.
Deductive.
Deductive?
Inductive.
Inductive?
No, deductive. Anyone over 21 years of age. We're
All right.
talking about anyone. Yeah.
All right, let's look at the next one. Most Doberman dogs bark a lot. My cousin just got a Doberman dog.
Deductive.
Therefore, my cousin's Doberman dog will probably bark a lot.
Deductive.
Let's evaluate our quiz. All right, so 1 is deductive, 2 is deductive, 3 deductive, but 4 is inductive.
We can't see.
Most Dobermans bark a lot. My cousin just got a Doberman. Therefore, my cousin's Doberman dog will probably bark a lot.
How?
Okay.
They're talking-
It's a specific idea, one idea.
We are told something about most Doberman. Also use the word probably, and the conclusion indicates that it is best classified as an inductive argument. Okay. Because we're talking about a specific notion, right? Specific idea. What I think what kills you here is the most Doberman bark a lot. Most. All right. Whereas in the other examples, it's more concrete, right? Elements, all elements 64, greater than 64 are metals, right? All fires need oxygen, right? What's the other one? Anyone, not someone, not some, but anyone over the age of 21 can play slot machines. Doesn't matter, right? But here in the last one, it gets a little precarious. All right, it's too specific. All right, most Dobermans, most.
Okay.
You can't apply it to all situations.
Okay.
Okay.
Probably.
All right. So I think when you think about things deductively or inductively, it helps you frame a logical argument, and it helps you. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that inductive arguments are not sound. It's just you have to be careful with inductive arguments, and you have to know that you're making an inductive argument. Okay, so the way you word it, and the logic thereof, the progression of the logic thereof, or formulating it, must be very careful that you don't apply deductive positioning in an inductive argument. And that's where a lot of people fall short, is that they'll start off with an inductive notion and then try to make a deductive. You can't. If you start inductive, you have to end inductive. If you start deductive, you got to end deductive. If you mix the two, your argument is not going to be sound, and it's going to have a lot of holes in it. All right.
Okay.
So as you as you interface the readings over the next week, and hopefully by the middle of next week, we'll finish this course. And we're moving on to really finish our final projects so we can move on to the next course, which is going to be a little bit more hands-on and we're going to probably have more questions about. This is an easier course to start you off. Okay. So as you read your chapters, I think it was it's 5 to 7, 5 to 8, something like this. Make sure you do the quizzes, but more importantly, consume the reading, not necessarily for the quizzes, because the quizzes are easy, but consume the reading in order to begin to think about your final project, whether it be the professional paper, personal experience paper, or the final actual project, PowerPoint, video blog, whatever creatively you want to do. Any questions about the final project?
Is it for any age group? When you said to who, for it being specific, does it matter the age group?
Nope, doesn't matter. As long as it's intended for human beings, regardless of age group, let's rock with it. But have a specific audience in mind. Right? Now, if you're going to write the 8-page paper, then you're not writing that with an audience in mind per se. Every time you're writing, you write with an audience in mind. But obviously, you're writing to talk about your personal experience as it relates to a specific topic within the content. If you're going to do the project, then you are synthesizing the information in a way where it would be beneficial to a specific group of people. Okay. Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions about that? So as you consume the reading now, not necessarily, I want you to get the quizzes right. I don't want you to remember the answers from the quizzes, but more importantly, consume the information as it relates to formalizing and synthesizing or actually creating your final project or your personal experience paper. If there's no other questions, I will leave you to rest because I know you got some teaching tomorrow. And I know there's challenges. It's the first week. There will be challenges. I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
And we will see you on, you guys want to meet tomorrow or Wednesday? Right?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. All right, so let's meet Wednesday.
No, tomorrow is Wednesday.
Tomorrow is Wednesday? Really?
Yeah, I was gonna say tomorrow's Wednesday.
You guys want to meet tomorrow or Thursday or Friday?
Not Friday.
Thursday?
Yes, Thursday's fine. Thursday's fine.
All right. Everybody's cool with Thursday? Speaking out. No?
Thursday's fine.
I might be driving Thursday, so I don't know.
You might be driving. Can you drive? You have a driver's license?
Yeah. You funny. You got jokes? Okay.
Thursday, Wednesday. All right, let's do this because you guys are, I want to be fair. Hold on a second.
No, let's finish it tomorrow. Ray, let's finish it tomorrow, Wednesday.
Hold on a second. Let me do this. Well, how do I do that? Stop share. And then we will do a poll. Technology. Let's see. Let's do a poll. Wednesday or Thursday. Quiz 1, Wednesday. Quiz 2, Thursday. And save. All right, did you guys get the poll? No?
Where?
Hold on a
What?
second. Oh, what happened?
Is it sign in to Cortana? Something like this.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Why am I send the?
We don't see your screen.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't see my screen. You should see me. But you don't see the poll? The poll wasn't sent?
No. Did you send it in the chat box?
Hold on a second.
Yeah, is it in the chat or?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Oh, okay. Hold on. Do I need to do that? No.
You need to send it in the chat box so that we log in.
Really?
Did you send everyone? Does it say
I
everyone?
thought this is a different interface. Create.
You need to share the link and then we log into it.
Or maybe I need it. Huh? Oh, come on, Ray Roberts. Before you just made the question and it just sent. What happened? What is this? What is this foolishness? Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. There's another screen that pops up. All right, launch. Boom. Go.
Oh, okay. My face.
Wednesday. Submit. I'm done.
All right. Uh-oh, it's a tight race. 2 people still need to vote. So this is how you know people walk away from the screen. 2 people vote. You're gonna lose time. Oh no, I think we get 7 out of 9 participated. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, 2 people still didn't vote. All right, well, the poll, and I'm ending the poll. So Wednesday wins.
Yay.
So we'll meet tomorrow. Really, we won't, I promise I won't bore you with a lecture.
Okay.
But I just want to just circle the fences again, make sure everyone is okay with your reading. And if I have any updates, I'll share it then.
Okay.
Any questions before we leave, before we log off?
No.
All right, just think about what I would like for you to really talk about tomorrow really is the final project. I want you to sleep on it and have any questions for me tomorrow. We'll make it brief tomorrow. We'll try to make it under 15 minutes. Mr. Muhammad, you have a question?
No.
What's your question, Mr. Muhammad?
No, sir. There's no question.
Oh, okay, I saw your hand raised. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow, 7 o'clock. 7 or 8.
What
7
time
to 8.
tomorrow?
8 o'clock, right?
8 o'clock tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow at 8. All right.
Excuse me, please. If I have any questions, can I send you a message to your account?
WhatsApp. Just send me to the WhatsApp message.
Okay, message WhatsApp. Okay. Thanks very much indeed.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock.
See you tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.